Tonight, an extreme wildfire warning. As temperatures soar, firefighters warn to avoid naked flames outdoors at all costs.
Any kind of high winds and the absence of any kind of rainfall. And what that means is that a fire that maybe covers a few metres within a matter of hours can be spread right across hectares.
Also making the headlines, the controversial Flamingoland development in the banks of Loch Lomond gets a reprieve after the Scottish Government says it can go ahead if certain conditions are met. In sport, as the curtain comes down on the Premiership season, Brendan Rodgers says Celtic's latest title triumph is his most satisfying yet.
It's full steam ahead as the paddle steamer Waverly sets sail for its 78th year.
And what a cracker we've got, blue skies. Lots of that to come this weekend. I'll be back later with all the details.
I'm John Mackay. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. An extreme warning for wildfires has been issued across Scotland after fire crews took days to contain a blaze in West Lothian. The Scottish Fire and Rescue Service is urging people to avoid the use of naked flames outdoors at all costs. The extreme danger assessment comes as the country is set to enjoy sunshine over the weekend, with many people looking to get outdoors and visit Scotland's national parks. As Laura Piper reports.
These are the charred remains of a severe wildfire. This one ripped through 40,000 square metres of woodland near Fauldhouse, burning for 5 days. Deputy Assistant Chief Fire Officer Gary Mackay was on site to show us the damage. But just as we began filming, smoke was spotted through the trees. Another fire, another emergency call out to fire crews.
There's been a flare-up within the woods there, so we've got smoke, some flames. So what we'll now do is the local crews will come out, they'll assess that and they'll extinguish it. And I have to say that's something that, given the forecasted weather of the weekend, we will see over those days as well. Any kind of high winds and the absence of any kind of rainfall. And what that means is that a fire that maybe covers a few metres within a matter of hours can be spread right across hectares.
This is what the aftermath of a wildfire can look like. Scorched earth and decimated trees, and sometimes even damage to property. There's also a toll on those brought out to fight it. It took 50 firefighters to get this one under control. The Firefighters Union say incidents will only increase as a result of global warming, and they're warning that if communities are to be protected, cuts to firefighting services need to be reversed.
We've just had it confirmed in the last fortnight that 166 posts temporarily cut from the Scottish Service last year in response to a lacking investment from the Scottish Government will be made permanent this year. So it's a really significant reduction to the number of firefighters that are available to respond to such incidents.
The Scottish Government say there has been investment.
I don't recognise that. There has been an annual increase for Scottish Fire Rescue Service since 2017 to 2018. The annual budget for this year alone is $412.2 million, which is 97 million higher than last year. So there have been substantial increases. With more sunshine on the way, our national parks are keen that safety messages get through.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. I think it's happening all over the world, but it's scary when it starts happening on home turf.
It's quite scary, especially with it being so dry and windy that it can spread really fast.
I mean, there's been no appreciable rainfall now since middle of April.
Without that rainfall, the risk of fire remains high.
And it just takes one spark and it can then, travel to the trees, and before you know it, we have, over 300 hectares of woodlands and beecrags. And if that goes up, we're in serious, serious trouble.
For now, firefighters remain on high alert as we go into yet another scorching weekend. They've told us they think it unlikely they'll make it to Monday without being called out. Laura Piper, STV News.
A controversial development on the banks of Loch Lomond could go ahead after the Scottish Government overturned a decision by the National Park Authority. The theme park operator Flamingoland wants to build a £40 million resort featuring a water park, hotels and restaurants. The proposals were rejected last year by Loch Lomond and the Trossachs National Park Authority following protests. Well, our political correspondent Ewan Petrie is at Loch Lomond. And Ewan, why has this decision been taken?
Well, on days like this, it's pretty easy to see why this area is so popular with tourists. And it was back in 2018 when Flamingoland first submitted this application to build a resort here. Now, that would include 2 hotels, a water park, more than 200 lodges and a monorail. But just last year, the Loch Lomond and Trossachs National Park refused permission. That was appealed to the Scottish Government, and this morning it said it would grant permission pending some legal conditions being agreed. Now, this development has caused a lot of controversy. More than 150,000 people have signed a petition against it, fearing its environmental impact, and they say that their fight is far from over.
Their interest here is in making a profit. They are a commercial entity. They have no interest in the local environment or in the local community. That's why it is obscene a government official has rejected all these concerns raised by the experts and overturned it and approved it on appeal. It's time for ministers to step in, reject Flamingoland, save Loch Lomond and draw an end to this saga.
And Ewan, what other reaction has there been to the decision?
Well, the Parks Authority says it stands by its reasons for its unanimous decision to refuse planning permission, and it says it's disappointing that the Scottish Government has taken a different view. Lomond Banks, which is behind the development, has called this a milestone moment and a long time coming. But the controversy over this piece of land is far from over. It could be November before we get a final decision on whether the bulldozers can move in here.
Ewan, on the banks of Loch Lomond, thank you. A mum who lost her daughter to bowel cancer at just 32 is campaigning for the screening age to the disease to be lowered from 50 to 30. Cheryl Reid died in February, just 4 months after being diagnosed with the disease at stage 4. Her family say she was dismissed by doctors despite suffering with symptoms for over a year. Tara Fitzpatrick has the story.
She's just the best daughter that you could have. She was so kind and caring, always worrying about other people before herself. She was funny. She had the most contagious laugh. All her friends just loved her laugh.
Margaret has decorated her living room in sunflowers, a favourite of her daughter Cheryl, who died from bowel cancer at just 32 years old. Despite suffering extreme stomach pains, doctors didn't believe cancer was a possibility until she was diagnosed in October last year. By this point, the disease was terminal. Her family believe key opportunities were missed to detect the cancer sooner, including a hospital visit in July when doctors dismissed calls for a CT scan.
She just went hysterical. And I went hysterical and just crying and she got so angry, and she said that people would have listened to me. When he told her that he couldn't do any more chemo, she cried and begged and said, give me a wee bit more time, I get my strength back and we'll go again. And he said, Cheryl, I'm sorry, I can't, that's it. So I think I was grieving even before she'd gone.
Margaret believes Cheryl's age stops doctors from considering bowel cancer sooner. She and her family now want the bowel cancer screening age to be lowered from 50 to 30.
Why we're angry is if it had been caught in July, she might still be here today.
Bowel cancer is the 4th most common in the UK, and 9 out of 10 people survive the disease if it's treated early. In Scotland, those between 50 and 74 are given an at-home screening test every 2 years, but 1 in every 20 cases in the UK happen in people under 50, and studies show this is rising.
The biggest misconceptions are that, number one, it doesn't happen in young people. It does, and we're seeing that more and more. And studies recently from the Lancet show very clearly that it does happen in younger people, and it's getting more common.
NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde have apologised if Cheryl's assessment in July contributed to a delayed diagnosis. A statement to STV News said the case was investigated thoroughly and that services follow national guidelines.
Watch out for the bowel cancer screening kit arriving in the post.
The Scottish Government say there are currently no plans to lower the screening age from 50, but this could be looked at again if advice changes. Margaret is planting a garden in Cheryl's memory and remains determined that her legacy will be one of change.
I can't do it for my daughter, but I don't want anybody else to have to go through this when they can have a simple test. I know Cheryl would be happy about me doing this. I promised her I would do it.
Tara Fitzpatrick, STV News.
6 people have been arrested following raids on restaurants in Glasgow and South Lanarkshire by immigration officers. 4 men and 2 women of Colombian, Indian, Iraqi, Portuguese and Spanish nationalities were arrested for having no right to work in the UK and overstaying their visas. 5 people have been released on bail and 1 has been detained pending their removal from the UK. Their employers face a fine if found liable. 3 lynx, which were illegally released in the Cairngorms, have arrived at their new home. The trio were cared for at Edinburgh Zoo while undergoing quarantine and are now settling into life at the Highland Wildlife Park. They were rescued in freezing temperatures in January. A high-ranking Police Scotland officer has been suspended after being charged in connection with an alleged disturbance. Chief Superintendent Pat Campbell was arrested and charged following an incident in Airdrie last month. The 54-year-old is due to appear at Airdrie Sheriff Court at a later date. He was previously the force's executive lead for organised crime, counter-terrorism and intelligence. He was also the senior officer in charge of the investigation into the death of Sheku Bayo. Breastfeeding rates in Paisley have increased after a local project run by the Health Board supported new mothers through the experience. The NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde initiative saw a rise in the number of mums continuing to breastfeed after they left hospital. The support involved being able to text midwives and same-day visits when they were struggling. Vanessa Taff has more.
Hi, how are you? How are things going?
New mothers always share a special relationship with their care team. But these Paisley mums have been given extra support to breastfeed. They've all had various challenges during their pregnancy, but the decision to keep breastfeeding was made easier with the right help. Killian mainly feeds from a tube, but can also take milk from his mum.
We did notice issues initially, like he was just really sleepy. We know he can feed, and he was quite good at breastfeeding. He just didn't have the stamina to do it. And we're still being able to breastfeed him, even though he has a tube. So we still kind of offer breast whenever he can, even though it doesn't take much.
The dedicated support for mothers to continue with breastfeeding after their time in hospital has been unlike other help on offer from the NHS.
Very different to the first time. So having now bottle fed my eldest and then breastfed my youngest, it was just way different and a fantastic experience and a great programme.
So the support we got was absolutely incredible. Without that, I don't know if it would have been a success. They were just so patient and would spend as much time as possible with both me and Millie Rose to make sure that it was a success.
Breastfeeding rates have increased across the country within the last decade. 33% of babies aged 6 to 8 weeks were exclusively breastfed last year. For mothers who were part of the Paisley project, that figure was 39%.
It's quite apparent, when you're working in the wards, there are more women, trying it initially, and then, just with that support, I guess, can hopefully continue. The World Health Organisation recommends that all babies are exclusively breastfed until 6 months, but in the UK only 1% are, so it's quite a big difference.
The project run by the Health Board involves offering additional antenatal workshops, one-on-one sessions and home visits from Jennifer and Rosie.
We've been supporting them up to 6 weeks postnatally, so we've been doing extra home visits and phone calls, just checking in. And we have a phone number that mums can text or call at any time they're having any problems, if they've got any concerns. And we've been able to jump out even the same day and just go and see them in their houses, so it's been great.
There are hopes the pilot project will be widely rolled out and funded, giving more mums and babies the best possible start as they head off into their early years. Vanessa Taff, STV News in Paisley.
It's the final round of Premiership games tomorrow. Rahman is here with a full preview, at least I hope that's what you've got.
I do, John. Some of us come in at 8:30, not 5:30 like you.
Okay, fair enough.
It is the final weekend of the Premiership action. Celtic are going to be presented with the trophy. Good news on that front, but bad news on the injury front.
STV Sport.
Sponsored by the C.R. Smith Spring Sale.
Good evening. Rio Hatate has been ruled out of next weekend's Scottish Cup final against Aberdeen due to an injury sustained against the Dons in midweek. Meanwhile, as Celtic prepare for another trophy day at Parkhead, Brendan Rodgers says this season's title triumph is his most satisfying yet as Celtic manager. Here's Ronnie Charters.
This is the challenge that has ruled Rio Hatate out of the Scottish Cup final. A late tackle in the dying minutes in their win over Aberdeen, and a late tackle that still upsets Brendan Rodgers.
Sadly for him and for us, he's had a fantastic season in terms of availability. It's 55 games he's been involved in, and just such a shame he'll miss these last couple of games. So yeah, you're probably talking it'd be okay for the beginning of pre-season, but just shame for us, even more so for him, that he misses these 2 games.
As the curtain falls on another Premiership season, Celtic prepare to lift their 4th title in a row. A relentless league campaign which has seen Brendan Rodgers' side storm to another triumph. For the Parkhead boss, this will be his 5th league winners' medal across his 2 spells, and he admits this season is extra special.
It's been very, very satisfying as a manager, I have to say. Our first day in pre-season and right the way through the pre-season, I thought we set a really high benchmark, and we were able to continue with that. So we're here to win and win in the best possible way we can. Any good team is always made up of talent, the system, and a real positive energy, and that's what we've tried to demonstrate all season.
After becoming Celtic's most decorated player, the club have announced James Forrest will present the trophy at Celtic Park tomorrow, his 26th major honour in green and white. Ronnie Charters, STV Sport.
Cement boss Stephen Robinson says should his side claim a European spot for the 2nd successive season, it would be the best achievement of his managerial career. The Saints need to secure at least a point against the champions and hope Dundee United lose at home to Aberdeen to land 5th place. Meanwhile, Hibs have triggered a clause to extend Martin Boyle's contract until the summer of 2026. Let's now look ahead to the final Premiership games of the campaign. If you were to secure the European spot, would this be your greatest achievement of your managerial career?
Yes, definitely. With the challenges, and we got a bit of stick for celebrating top 6. The decisions the club had to make with players and the problems they faced was something you probably don't get in managing. When you manage for 30 years, being in Europe is something that happens once in a lifetime for most St Mirren fans. If we can do that twice in consecutive years, then that would be a super achievement.
Finish the season in style. Last home game of the season, last game of the season. Clearly achieved everything we've set out to do in terms of the league campaign, which is brilliant, but you want to finish the season with a win at home. It'll be a really difficult game, always are, but really good games to look forward to, and I'm sure the atmosphere will be good as well.
I've given it everything that I had. I said in my first interview I was going to be me. I'm going to try and kid MD on. I have been me. And really enjoyed it. It was good to get that reception, but we've still got 1 game to go on Saturday against Hibs at Easter Road, so we need all focus needs to go on that now.
I need help with players. We've got a game to prepare for against a good team. So as much as that happens in football, where you're unfortunately losing good people and good staff, and I would like to think we'll be friends for the rest of our lives, that if we have to move on quickly and to really focus on the game against Hearts.
Football has a funny way of throwing these types of games up every now and again, but what I will say is the players have got a really good opportunity to win following the bounce. They've got a really good opportunity to impress people that will be at the game, so it's a great opportunity.
We want to achieve 51 points. I think this is a great, these are many points. I think the last time I read is for 11 years we had 51 points, so we have a big aim to achieve this.
And as always, the final round of fixtures sees the top 6 play on Saturday, the bottom 6 on Sunday. A point for Dundee away to relegated St Johnstone should secure their place in the top flight for next season. And as mentioned, it's Dundee United against Aberdeen. Now, for the 3rd season in a row, the Women's Premier League will go to the final day. A shootout between Hibernian and Rangers will determine who will be champions on Sunday. Hibs have a 3-point lead and will win the title if they avoid defeat at Ibrox. But should Rangers secure a victory, they'll be champions as they have a vastly superior goal difference.
There's no other league that has this drama towards the last day of the season. You know, we lost out on the last day of the season last year. We didn't like that feeling. But, you know, it's happening again. It's happening year after year. And I think, you know, one team would love to run away with it. But for the neutral, it's outstanding for the league.
Truthfully, I think without done where we thought we could maybe get to this year already. But I think now that we're here, there's a real belief and hunger to just go one step further. And yeah, you're right. I think we have been the underdogs. We are still the underdogs.
To rugby, and Sione Chipolotto returns to the Glasgow Warriors team for the first time in 4 months for their trip to Leinster tomorrow, while Edinburgh take on Ulster in their must-win match tonight. Chipolotto has been sidelined after sustaining a pectoral muscle injury in January. The Warriors, who were thrashed by Leinster in the Champions Cup last month, are already through to the quarterfinals in the URC. But Edinburgh need to defeat Ulster and hope other results go their way for them to qualify to the playoffs.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Spring Sale.
And John, in the second leg of the Premiership playoff takes place tonight as Livingston host Partick Thistle. They've got a 2-0 lead from the first leg.
Well, thank you. Well, from sport to doon the water, the world's last seagoing paddle steamer, the Waverly, is back on the Clyde for its first trip of the season. It set sail from Glasgow this morning, celebrating its 78th year of sailing. And Sean was among the passengers lucky enough to be on it.
Well, yes, would you look at this? Absolutely incredible, not a cloud in the sky, the first sailing of the Waverly, and everybody on board thinks their Christmases will all come at once. They probably booked this months ago and they've ended up with weather like this. It could almost be the Mediterranean, but this is even better than the Med because that's where all the rain is just now. Now Raheem's on board as well, so he's going to tell us a little bit more about the Waverly in just a minute. But yes, blue skies, lots of sunshine around this weekend. It is going to be a perfect weekend, warm in the west as well. Always staying that little bit cooler along the east coast. But for now, let's have a look at the forecast. And there's also a wildfire risk this weekend too.
Outbreaks of ancient sites will gradually settle into an evening of pizza plates al fresco. TUI sponsors STV weather.
Well, there's the word high still on the map. We're still high and dry as well with that high pressure around. Not much changing. All the rain at the moment. Portugal, Spain, Italy, Greece. Here in the UK, staying fine and dry. Maybe until the end of next week when we could see a change. Let's not worry about that just now. But high pressure around, so it will remain fine. Now overnight tonight, we're going to see some hard and low cloud coming into Fife and Edinburgh. It'll be thickest there, but for us, we'll see that coming through the central belt. So if you're in North Lanarkshire, around Glasgow, even as far west as Renfrewshire and Dumbartonshire, I expect we could see some of that low cloud coming in by the end of the night. Bit of a chilly one again, especially for central parts, but here around the coast, the temperatures will still be about 10 or 11 degrees Celsius through much of the night. Arran, Mull, for example, as well, the Kintyre Peninsula. Tomorrow morning, a little bit of low cloud, maybe central parts to clear away. That once that burns away, it's just back to lovely blue skies once again and feeling warm like it has done all week. Top temperatures, it looks as if Kinlochleven and also around Fort William, Glencoe will be the top spots, up to 24 or 25, 22, 23 in Glasgow. Sunday, more blue skies to come once again. This fine weather is here to stay Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, but as I say, a bit of a change by the end of next week. One thing to bear in mind this weekend is, of course, after the extremely dry weather, there is a high chance of wildfires, so a dropped match or a cigarette could cause a lot of damaged barbecues, so something to bear in mind. But the big thing about this weekend is just get out and enjoy that lovely weather with your suntan lotion, of course. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV weather.
Well, from Sean to Raheem, who also spent the day doing the water with passengers basking in the sunshine and sharing stories on the world-famous boat.
Hundreds queued, eager and excited to go on the world's last surviving seagoing paddle steamer. As the Waverly set off, the funnels signaled full steam ahead. And the stories and memories connected to this great Scottish institution came alive.
Well, we're celebrating our 50th wedding anniversary on the Waverly today.
2 years ago, my husband bought this for me when we were on with our grandchildren, and my husband's no longer with us in real life, but he's with us in memory.
We thought it'd be a fun idea to dress as the funnels when going on the boat.
Our son very kindly gave his dad this for his 80th birthday.
Fabulous, brilliant day, and it's wonderful to see our city from the river.
How many times have you been on it?
4 or 5, I think, when I was a kid. So that was about 60 years ago.
As the iconic steam engine powered the ship through the Clyde's famous landmarks, onlookers waved. Since being preserved 50 years ago, Waverly has carried more than 6 million passengers, and this season will visit 70 ports across the UK.
Waverly does bring a lot of memories to a lot of people. I sailed on the ship as a child, and a lot of the passengers remember her from years ago. There's some people on here for the very first time, and they realise when they step aboard that Waverly is a bit unique, a bit different. You know, she's got a heritage feel when you walk on the wooden decks. The sight of the steam engine, you can hear the paddles beat. So she's truly a unique experience to sail on.
The Waverly is back for its first trip of the season, and already 41,000 tickets have been sold. The iconic paddle steamer is carrying just under 500 passengers today, offering a unique glimpse into the Clyde's maritime history. With the 4 upcoming trips fully booked, hundreds more passengers can look forward to creating new memories as Waverly sets sail once more. Raheem Cham, STV News, Glasgow.
What a day for the Waverly. From all of us here, thank you for watching. Have a great weekend.